Dear learners on the platform of MOOCs, I am Professor Nafis Ahmed Ansari from Department of Political Science of Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. Now, in continuity with the area of bureaucracy, now we are going to understand about the merits and demerits of the bureaucracy. As far as the merits and demerits are concerned, we know that in every aspect we find there are certain merits and certain demerits is concerned. When an organization in bureaucratic, it means that it is a systems and methods are complex and multi-layered. Slow decision making is a direct result of the regional systems and procedures. Their purpose is to control and standardize operations within the company. Governments and major organizations, including corporations, often employ methods that are characterized as bureaucratic. Important to the operation of any organization's policies and procedures is its bureaucracy. The bureaucracy is an administrative structure, value expertise, objectives, and dehumanization above everything else. Hierarchical power and codified regulations provide its foundation. Critics often point to the bureaucratic method as an example of efficiency, arbitrariness, and repetitions. A lot of people mean it negatively when they use the term like bureaucratic or bureaucracy. As an example, the phrase bureaucratic suggests that processes are more important than efficiency. But the term bureaucrat suggests that someone may be a government official. Making the impossible possible is a typical definition of bureaucracy. Bureaucratic perceptions about a firm and its operations are often unspoken. The entity can't rely on an overly complex or unpredictable open system of operations, right? There's one assumption. Rather, it is necessary to implement and support a system that is both closed and logical assessed. The development bureaucratic processes that aid in the safety and productivity of humans is social benefit. If it wants to ensure the security of an enterprise or a community, it must come with strict rules and regulations. Finding problems earlier on makes fixing them possible before they impact other parts of business, government, or society. The bureaucracy fosters innovations because, despite their reputation as a hodgepodge of regulations and policies, they are actually place where personal accountability is paramount. Bureaucrats tend to outperform the average population in terms of education, exhibits higher levels of self-directions and open mindedness, and are more likely to be used their ingenuity for the greater good that the general populations provides job security compared to alternative forms of supervisions. The bureaucratic system offers more job security. Employees have perks and is a stable income that allow them to live the way they want to live if they follow the regulations and policies that control their job. The safety net that a bureaucracy can offer might include health insurance, paid time off, and even a pension of retirement. The counter argument is that bureaucracy is a misallocation of resources, both human and material, as it supposedly creates jobs by duplicating offices. It is highly arguable whether that is genuine bureaucracy. One problem is that most new offices in bureaucratic companies are just ceremonial and don't help the company advance in any meaningful way. Bureaucracy is notoriously stiff. A decisions or law rarely changes once it has gone through the lengthy and cumbersome processes of making it. Humans, being social creatures, make up the evolutionary group. Problems arise when a rule or decision isn't adaptable to new informations. On the other hand, bureaucracy is a great method to operate an organization since it ensures that everyone works as efficiently as possible thanks to its tight structure and strict procedures. Bureaucracy, despite its best efforts, isn't without its pros and cons. Before you can maximize the benefits of bureaucratic system and minimize its drawbacks, you must have a firm grasp of the pros and cons of operating inside one. This lecture will go over the fundamentals of the bureaucracy, the benefits and drawbacks of bureaucratic business practices, and how bureaucracy affects today's workplace. On one way to run an organization is via bureaucracy. It could mean a corporate or governmental organizations. In particular, four characters or characterized systems can be adopted. Who possess authority and what extent is defined by its distinct hierarchy. Here we can understand some of the pros and cons of the bureaucracy. When we say advantages, then in advantages, bureaucratic system are based on the idea that following rules would lead to financial or promotion benefits. Companies that can promote based on personal biases and friendship can have employees who perform below average yet move up the corporate ladder. The best performers in any organization will rise through the ranks and get promotions according to the bureaucracy's result based approach. In the end, this benefit the business and everyone associated to it. In a perfect bureaucracy, the firm promotes deserving individuals to managerial roles, and those employees work hard and because they know that their performance determines their advancement. A more efficient vendor is good for business and good for customer. An organization's efficiency and bottom line are both booted by the meritocracy of a bureaucratic firm. The emphasis on responsibility and that characterizes bureaucratic organization is one of their primary strengths. A hallmark of a bureaucratic company is its stringent collection of rules and regulations which serve to guide employee behavior. With a system of accountability in place, employees will face disciplinary consequences in the event that they violate these norms. This will lead to more uniform behavior throughout the organization. The various reasons that is crucial component of any bureaucratic enterprise. Managers who step outside their scope of responsibility face consequences, and a more rule abiding employee might step in to fill their shoes. Also, because the rules are more clearly laid down and consequences are more obvious in bureaucratic organizations, employees are more likely to take responsibility for their actions and play by the book. Having a high level of job security is a major perk of employees in a bureaucratic organization. This is due to several factors, the most important of which is that employees know that they can't guarantee their own safety on the job unless they follow the established policies and procedures of the company. In contrast to situation where biases may influence the dismissal of particular employees, the only time a staff member's employment is in the jeopardy is when they violate laws and regulations. One of the major factor impacting attitudes in the workplace is worries about job security. Thus, this stability can boost employee contentment. When people are anxious about their job security, they tend to not give their all on the job. Employees will have less to stress over when their employment comes to a close, when their understanding of the contract boundaries and possible grounds or termination is clear. In a bureaucratic enterprise, efficiency is a major plus. Employees develop expertise and perform better than they would if give more leeway to choose their own methods of work completion because the company consistently uses the most efficient processes and systems, maintaining high profitability and in the end the superior operations for the shareholders is the result of organization's commitment to working as efficiently as possible. The onboarding process of a new employee benefits greatly from this. It might be challenging for a new employee to learn the ins and outs of their work without proper documentations. For instance, employees are able to produce high quality work at a rapid pace because of there is an abundance of rules, documentations, and meticulously planned processes in place. Efficiency in the workplace is defined by bureaucracy in two ways. First, by the way long term employees get jobs done, and the second, by how fast new hires get up to speed. Despite the stereotype of bureaucracy as a faceless walls of rules and regulations, the truth is that creativity flourishes behind its walls. Bureaucrats tend to be more educated than the average persons, more independent, more receptive to new ideas, and more willing to use their ingenuity for the greater good than the general populations. On benefit of bureaucracy, one of the best area is that the stability it brings to employment, especially when compared to other type of government regulations. Employees have perks and stable income that led them to live the way they want to live as long as they follow the rules and regulations that control their job. A retirement pensions, health insurance, paid time off are among the benefits that a bureaucracy can offer. Because of impersonal character of their ties developed, there are distinct benefits to a well-run bureaucracy, and this helps to avoid favoritism. It establishes a framework that prioritizes equality. The results are unaffected by friendship. The influence that comes from consistently performing well is more important and political pressures more important than a political pressure. As a result, we can all begin from the same point and have an equal opportunity to succeed. A bureaucracy allows for the centralization of power by dictating precise roles and functions, which in turn allows for the establishment of well defined norms of productivity. Managers are confidently oversee productions with these standards in place as each step is clearly defined. Since it is a team based atmosphere, everything flows up from the chain of command, which ensures that everyone is equal ground while also making it clear who the boss is. Because the system where we find there is a competence in the goal of bureaucracy, there is a social pressure to become an expert in one's chosen performance. This led to an increased specialization. The worker's ultimately objective is to maximize his or her own personal outcome by climbing the corporate ladder to the highest level of expertise within that field. Bureaucracy's inherent foster problem solving and cost efficiencies via their promotions of specialization. Jobs with the finest opportunity go to the best people. While laws and regulations may appear onerous all times, they serve to establish best practices. Establishing and strictly adhering to the best practices can save time and money in both public and private sectors. These guidelines do produce consistent results that permit predictability, but the expense of developing best practices may outweigh the savings they offer at times. Because there is a target to reach, it makes everything more predictable. There is a predetermined main objective in a bureaucracy. The next step is to establish the rules and regulations that will guide the members of that structure as they work to achieve that goal. While human error ensures that any system will have some degree of unpredictability, the built in guidelines of this structure make it possible to anticipate future outcomes with more certainty than would be possible without them. It lays the groundwork for scalability, efficiency, which in turn generate opportunities for workers to be more productive. Multiple workers can operate in the same way thanks to the rules and regulations, which further boost efficiency. Bureaucracy promotes operating within scale economies. In this way, no matter the size a department, whether is a one person or 100, the guidelines ensure that everyone works together efficiently, leading to consistent results. It is easy and fast to finish merger and acquisitions. Merging organizations or government institutions with established policies and processes is a breeze for bureaucratises due to their mechanical nature. With most employees already use the same routines, the merger may go forward with little frictions. It is simpler to adjust to minor changes in a familiar setting within a bureaucracy, particularly if the overreaching goal is the same. Because bureaucratic system are so common, even newcomer may quickly find their place inside one. This makes them ideal for those who are looking for to fit in. The clarifying expectations and responsibilities on the job is the purpose of rules and regulations. As a result, we enter a new era when everyone can start working at their full potential. When we try to trace the disadvantages which is associated with the bureaucracy, then we find that there are certain constraints in any bureaucracy. Reasons for this include the fact that all the processes are well documented, and fact that organization limit employees behavior by enforcing rules and regulations. Together they guarantee that the bureaucratic companies can only go so far when it comes to innovations. Because there are strict regulations in place, employees are unable to deviate from their expected behavior and coming up with the innovation solutions to problems is challenging. The might be useful This might be useful to certain trades for data processing organizations or those in the pharmaceutical industry. For instance, adhering to a detailed plan of actions ensure continuity in operation and legal compliances. This plays a significant role in numerous sectors where the potential benefits of innovations outweigh the risks. Another, the establishment of bureaucratic institutions aid society by ensuring the safety and productivity of its member. For the sake of a company's or a society's security, it establishes inflexible rules and regulations that everyone must adhere to. Finding issues earlier allows for their remediations before they impact other parts of the company, government, or society. It establishes a strict hierarchy for the tasks that need to be finished. The policies and procedures, often known as the rules and laws, are rigid and have penalties to individuals who disobey them. It relies on the relationship that are not personal, either work for a encounter bureaucracies on a daily basis until the phrase is typically reserved for government entities. Bureaucratic organizations exist whenever one person oversees the work of other. The main problem with bureaucracy is the time it takes to complete tasks. It takes time to follow rigid regulations. Everyone involved will have to pay more time is required. Government structures provide an additional burden on taxpayers, while commercial and industrial structure charge greater prices to customers. Decreasing independence is found there. People who do their jobs in a variety of ways. For instance, some people are more productive in a more relaxed settings. Some are more productive when given more leeway to choose their own schedules. And yet, other would be better if given less authority to establish policies and procedures inside an organization. Rules and regulations impose certain levels of control over the employees, which may cause frictions amongst some workers. Hiring a bureaucratic company requires a certain level of expertise that with a tight systems or a predispositions for following established requirements. Instead of conforming to the established norms, employee who value innovations and originality can contribute to the smooth operation of the business. But when a business recruits individuals who thrives with the little independence, this might be a plus. Has an effect on staff morale in the bureaucracy. This is what we try when bureaucracy have an effect on employee morale and mindset due to the decreased uniqueness within. Bedroom test is when workers are required to do the same things over and over again. In addition, elements like labor quotas and strict restrictions guaranteeing that employees attain particular levels of efficiency reduce the social aspects of a human bureaucratic organization. When it comes to the preventing poor morale, an employer have a number of options like incorporating productivity makers for employee. For instance, give them something to work toward and reduce the likelihood they would get bored over time. On top of that, workplace social connections can still occur even in every bureaucratic organization. Having conversations while working is beneficial to your mental health. Particularly if you work in a bureaucratic organizations, there will be no problem with employees being social as long as they work within the laws. Developing supplement skills is not a priority. Bureaucracy have a hierarchical framework that advances employees until they reach a level where they are initially inadequate. Due to the lack of focus on developing new skills inside bureaucratic framework, this is the job that the people will stay in until they opt to retire. This indicate that the only reason a bureaucracy can keep them running is because competent people are striving for higher ranking posts. It encourages a system that isn't conducive to actual output to ensure everyone's well-being. It is bureaucracy establishes a plethora of regulations and statutes. As a result, people have to put up with their own more work because new regulations and laws might be added to the mix at any moment. More paperwork, different filling requirements, or further as assessments could be on the horizons. This procedure promotes risk-free productions at the expense of departments and individuals' actual capability for output. Spending determines that is done in bureaucratic system. The cycle occurs when the budget cycle occurs once a year. There is only enough funding for this cycle. Dispose of the funds will prevent their inclusion in the subsequent budget cycle. Department and individuals are required to adhere to this guideline in order for their spending to fall into the subsequent budget. In order to ensure budget rise, there is an incentive to spend more frivolously. Promotion based on performance are an option for employees, but they don't ensure a speedy rise in the rank. Productivity may not fall under quota based system, but it is also won't be at its peak. Bureaucracy should be structured to reward workers who are accompanied taking in 2 hours with the same level of quality as those who take the usually 8 hours. With no motivation, an employee can sit around doing nothing for 6 hours, and management has to choice but to let it happen. It is a bureaucracy who you have seen that there is a less room for initiative and self-determination due to the prevalence of regulations in a statute that controls employee behavior. What the or laws desire dictates actions. No matter how morally sound an employee's actions may be, they risk losing their jobs or perhaps going to jail if they defy authority without proper authorizations. Inefficiency has just much of a chance of happiness as efficiency does. Fixed salaries are common from the compensation of bureaucracies. They receive predetermined rewards. Doing repeated duties or supervising others to do so demand a large workforce. While qualified and multi-based applicants maybe face less competitions for available jobs in the short term, employee may feel trapped in a never-ending cycle once those positions are filled. Keeping morale up in a bureaucracy is not easy. It might be a challenging to sustain repetitive patterns in the absence of clear vision or purpose. Bureaucracies tend to reward performance rather than quality when it comes to completing tasks. As a result, morale plummets in individuals' needs take precedence over those of the bureaucracy. It makes it harder to respond rapidly to new informations. Business and foreign governments face challenges adapting a new legislations since bureaucrats are rule based. The bureaucracy needs time to adapt its rules and regulations to changing environment. In fact, it may be so lengthy that a subsequent development may occur before the bureaucracy adjusts to the initial ones. It loses its relevance if the market undergoes sufficient changes before government or firm adjust to them. In conclusion, we can say that after examining the pros and cons of the bureaucracy, it has been revealed how a controlled setting can enhance productivity by lowering obstacles, increasing efficiency. On other side, a poorly organized bureaucracy may waste time and money without providing the benefits promised. Routine use by the governments and enterprises is possible with this system of bureaucracy provides its shortcomings and adequately addressed and the rules expansions and restricted to essential safety demands. It is not easy to fix inefficiency as what worked well 5 years ago might cut it in now. Not only does bureaucracy have a hard time adapting to changing market, but its structure also causes delay in implementing newly created best practices. When bureaucracies fail to actively evaluate its rules and regulations, they become even more ineffective at adapting to the new circumstances, which in turn increases public mistrust of the system. Thank you.